Hi there, this is Lee. And I'm talking about not Jill Steiner, the Green Party, or even down ballot candidates. Today I'm talking about ballot initiatives and the fact that these are a way for citizens at the grassroots to create local change for themselves to affect legal process and the laws and ordinances that guide local living in their cities or towns and states. And so there's a rise in ballot initiatives and referendums and things like that. And I think it's because our legislature is just been corrupted to the point that they're inadequate, sometimes just unwilling or unable to actually do the jobs that they were sent into office to do. We have a severe vacuum at the federal level, the national level, where our U.S. Congress and our president and our Supreme Court have all been corrupted by corporate money, funding, donations. And so it comes to the point that at the national level, we cannot rely on our legislature, our U.S. Congress, the House, and the Senate to be advocates for the people that they were sent there to do, to make laws for us, to protect us, our freedom, our democracy, such as it is. And in fact, that they're more willing to protect the interest of corporations to the point that they're entertaining the idea of a horrific series of trade deals, including the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership, Trade and Services Agreement, and so on and so forth. In the vein of NAFTA, but only worse, the Investor State Dispute Settlement is an extinction level clause that should not belong because it's contrary to our U.S. Constitution. And the fact that not only our president is entertaining this treasonous trade deal, and that U.S. Congress, some members are poised to assist him with that, is of concern to us all. And so this is the type of leadership that we've come to in 2016. This is the point, we're at the point of no return. Once we go over that hurdle where multinational corporations can make laws for us rather than our own legislature, our government, we the people making our own laws, we're at the point of no return. And so this is what's happening at the national level. And so people have said, well, we'll use the tools available to us to protect ourselves since our Congress won't. And so ballot initiatives are being used. So state by state, the people at the grassroots are making laws for themselves. In Colorado, the people circulated petitions against fracking in order to place a moratorium or a limit on fracking in Colorado. The governor vetoed. And so, even at the state level, the people are trying to protect themselves, and it's the corporate oligarchy that are actually coming out and fighting the people, even at the ballot level, let alone at what's happening in Washington. It's come down to the states too, where you see battles being waged against these corporate greedy profiteers. Dakota Access Pipeline, that's another story in itself, where there are actually atrocities now being committed against the people, violence. The corporations are using our own police force against us. And this is happening in North Dakota at the Standing Rock. They're sticking attack dogs, they're using pepper spray, bean bags, they're strip searching young women, sexually humiliating these people in order to degrade them, to harm them physically, and to destroy their way of life, destroy their water source. and the state government is allowing it to happen. National government missing in action. And so people are just trying to find ways to protect themselves from the menace that's coming our way by these corporations. And there's an article at Common Dreams that's actually dated September 29th. Undermining democracy, corporations pouring millions into local ballot fights. And so an organization called Public Citizen has found that the total corporate spending on just 8 local ballot measures has topped $139 million. This is the investment these corporations have put into fighting citizens who are trying to guide their own living, who are trying to govern themselves. It's the corporations that are fighting, and they're spending millions in order to do that. And it's this particular election cycle. And so they're using their Supreme Court's Citizens United ability to dominate local democracy. There's a PDF called Big Business Ballot Bullies. And in it, Public Citizen looks at 8 state-level ballot initiatives and referenda that have seen outsized spending by these corporations. And so these corporations have about an average of 10 to 1 financial advantage over the grassroots opponents. And so it's about 139 million. Big Pharma, Johnson & Johnson, they have spent the most. Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, and they're trying to defeat California's Drug Price Standards Initiative. Colorado, I spoke about the fracking, but there's also Amendment 69, which would install a universal Medicare for all system for state residents. And so the insurance industry, United Healthcare, Anthem, and others are trying to oppose that by pouring money into the opposition. And so the anti-fracking measure that would have set a mandatory setback for oil and gas development saw opposition spending, which included $6.55 million from Anadarko Petroleum Company, and then it failed to make the November ballot for that reason. So it's going on. There's an attempt to repeal a ban on plastic bags in California. There's a utility-backed solar decoy initiative in Florida, and it would make it easier for energy companies to restrict and raise costs for rooftop solar. And I think the main issue with that is that they're trying to block the ability for citizens to actually sell back the electricity that they generate from their solar installations. And then you've got big business opposition to Oregon's Measure 97, trying to increase the minimum corporate tax. And then in South Dakota, there's an effort to cap interest rates for payday lenders. That's initiated Measure 21, and as well as a constitutional amendment to restrict such caps. And so there's a lot of predation of these corporations upon the citizenry, and they're trying to protect themselves. And this is happening state level. There's also charter school measures in Massachusetts, and then marijuana legalization efforts, such as in Arizona, and then 8 other states this year have some form of legalization on the ballot, whether recreational or a medical. And there's opposition from corporations. And so we're seeing just a lot of attempts to oppress the people. And it's possible that the solution is a constitutional amendment, such as the Democracy for All Amendment that was supported by a majority of U.S. senators in 2014. And this can overturn the Citizens United and the Ballot case by asserting the state's authority to limit corporate election spending. So they see that that is one way to restrict corporate predation upon grassroots organizing for democracy. So it's something to look at while we're all thinking about who's going to be the president, who's going to be down ballot, things like that. It's also very important to pay attention to what's on the ballot lines, the ballot initiatives that are on these ballots, the presidential ballot as well. Really read them closely, look at the facts, consider each side, and then make a decision that supports your best interest. Um, we can fight corporate oligarchy at the federal level. We can fight our own Congress if we have to, but never lose sight of what's happening locally. There are many examples all across the nation of people standing up, and this is just one of the ways in which to do that. Good luck.